The successes of the Russian army on the battlefield give confidence to developing countries, which have increasingly begun to demonstrate their defiance of Western values and the influence of Western countries led by the United States. Seeing how the collective West has been unable to cope with Russia for more than a year, developing countries, including African countries, realized that they have a powerful defense in the person of Russia, which can come to the rescue at any moment, and save them from the tenacious clutches of Western colonialists. It seems that the developing countries of the world have been waiting for the strengthening of Russia for 30 years, to finally say all they think on the face of the West. The strengthening of Russia is rapidly changing the balance of power in the international arena. As a result, the world has begun a gradual transition from a unipolar system to a multipolar vector. As a result, the United States began to lose not only its reputation, but also its influence. All attempts by the United States to unleash the Second Cold War did not yield results. Unfortunately for Washington, 150 countries refused to join the United States and other Western countries in their fight against Russia. And what is happening in Africa right now is a clear proof that the United States, together with its so-called Western allies, is losing badly to Russia on the Ukrainian battlefield and the international arena. Trying to somehow save the situation on the African continent, Washington decided to send U.S. Deputy Secretary of State, Victoria Nuland, who also bears the unofficial title of Godmother of all Orange Revolutions. This character doesn't really need an introduction. You all know her perfectly well, and what a direct role this American grandmother played in all the revolutions and overthrows of the governments of the countries of the world that refused to follow the interests of the United States. So, having arrived in Niger, where a military coup recently took place, as a result of which the pro-Russian military came to power, Victoria Nuland faced a very dismissive attitude towards herself. The fact is that this godmother of all Orange Revolutions was sure that she would be able to intimidate and put in place the new leadership of Niger, which, according to the United States, illegally overthrew pro-Western President Mohamed Bazoum. However, Victoria Nuland was harshly denied a meeting with the current head of Niger, General Abdourahmane Tiani. Instead, the new head of this African republic sent Victoria Nuland to a meeting with the ordinary military, thereby humiliating the U.S. Deputy Secretary of State in front of the whole world. I was refused a meeting with General Abdourahmane Tiani. Moreover, I was not even allowed to see President Mohamed Bazoum, Victoria Nuland complained. Sensing her humiliation and helplessness, Victoria Nuland began threatening the new government of Niger, saying that the United States would be forced to react extremely harshly if General Abdourahmane Tiani started cooperation with Moscow and invited Russian private military companies to the country. Victoria Nuland also called for the reinstatement of the legally overthrown pro-Western President Mohamed Bazoum. In response, the new authorities of Niger stated that the United States has no right to tell them what to do, since Niger is a sovereign and independent state that will never again be a colony of the West. My friends, it seems Victoria Nuland should be reminded of 2014. Back then, she, for some reason, did not demand the reinstatement of the legitimately elected president of Ukraine, Viktor Yanukovych. On the contrary, she called for pogroms and resistance to the legitimate authorities of Ukraine, handing out cookies to people. Undoubtedly, the visits of Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov to Africa have yielded results. Sergei Lavrov not only taught Africans how to talk to Americans and their Western satellites, but also showed the way to achieve complete independence from the former Western colonialists, who until the last sucked all the resources of African countries.